In this lab, we are going to use SSH to connect from our Windows server to our Linux server. So just set up kind of where I'm going to start out. I've already made a remote desktop connection to my Windows server. So you can see I've got my Markwardson Windows server running in the Amazon cloud. I've got the graphical user interface. That's the window I have here on the left. Over here on the right, this is on my desktop. I'm just showing that I've logged into my Amazon Web Services console. I've got my Markwardson Windows server instance running. I've also got my Markwardson Ubuntu server running. Both those things have to be in place to get started. So that's good. To make our connection, we have to use our key. So what we're going to do to make that happen is on my host system, I'd saved my labs user.pem file to my desktop. Wherever you saved it, great. If you need to go grab it again, you can come back to your Learner Labs, look at the AWS details. That's that PEM file. Download your PEM file. Now I'm just going to right click on that file. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to paste it into Windows Server. Don't drag and drop. Make sure you use copy and paste. Drag and drop's not going to work for you. It's just not. So right click, copy it, go to your remote desktop connection, paste it onto your desktop. That's probably the hardest part of this lab, to be honest. So now I've got that file on the desktop. So I'm going to maximize my Windows Server connection now because everything else is in place. Got the instructions here. I'm going to launch PowerShell. That's the preferred command line interface on Microsoft Windows. So in the Start menu, I've got it right there, that icon. But if you need to search for it, PowerShell. So again, this is in the remote desktop. I've got a command line interface now. So that's good. So this should match. I am logged in as the administrator. So I see the prompt, C users administrator. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change directories to my desktop. So cd desktop. So now all of these files here are on my desktop. I'm in the desktop, so I've got access to that lab users.pem file. Like if I run dir here, directory, I see that labs user.pem file, so that's good. If I run ipconfig, I can check the IP configuration. Notice it tells me my private address is 172.31.50.50. That's good. That's what we set up when we created this virtual machine, when we launched this EC2 instance. So that IP address is private. My public IP address, we can see listed here, is 54.237.21.131. That's going to change every time the server reboots, and that's totally fine. We're going to be using the private IP address this time. So the Ubuntu server's IP address is 172.31.50.60. So only that last number is different. So we can create an SSH connection. I'm going to say in my PowerShell prompt, SSH, I'm going to say -i labs user.pem. So this is the identity file. This is the key file. That Ubuntu server is configured that whoever's trying to connect to it via SSH has to have this key file. You can think of it like in place of a password. If you've got that file, you're good. I'm gonna say -l to use the login name Ubuntu, and I'm gonna give the IP address of that server 172.31.50.60. And I'm going to hit enter. Now, the first time you connect via SSH to most systems, it's going to say, hey, do you like this key fingerprint? Yes, I love it. Just say yes. We would want to validate that it is actually the server that we're trying to connect to. Once I say yes, all of a sudden it says, welcome to Ubuntu 24.04. So now I'm connected to a remote machine. My Windows server lives in an Amazon Web Services data center. My Ubuntu server lives in also in the Amazon Web Services data center. So I'm connecting from one machine to the other. So I might be doing this if I'm an information technology administrator and I need to check some settings, I need to update some configuration files, I need to do some work. Any commands that I type now in this SSH connection will be run on my Linux server. So if I run who am I, it'll say, yeah, you're Ubuntu. If I say pwd, print my working directory, it says, well, you're in the home/Ubuntu directory. Now, that's different than what I saw in Windows. In Windows, it said I'm on my desktop, right? But now, because I've created this secure shell, this SSH connection, everything I'm running is as if I'm logged into that Ubuntu server, like if it's just a laptop sitting on a desk and I just went and logged into it. So anything I type here is going to be sent to that Ubuntu Linux computer, and then I see the output here. So I can do some things like sudo apt update. Sudo apt update, what this does, it goes out and grabs all the available software that can be installed on this Ubuntu server. And it can take a little bit. It's loading all of it. There's a bunch of stuff that can be upgraded. I'm not going to update it right now. I'm going to run sudo apt install roll dice. So this command will let me install new software. Sudo means run with administrative privileges. Apt manages packages. Then I can install the roll dice program. I already had it, so didn't reinstall it. You might have to say Y or yes. Oh, sorry. No, actually, it was installed correctly. Yeah. Sometimes you have to type a Y to confirm that yes, you actually want it. Now that I've got that roll dice program on this computer, now I can run roll dice. And it will run that program. I can press should roll for me. Give me my dice. I'm not seeing my numbers. Oh, there I go. Hit the enter key. Sorry. I forgot how to use my roll dice program. It's not my program. You hit the enter key, it's going to roll the dice over and over. When you're done, you can press Control-C to quit. So, hey, if you lose your dice, you're playing a game, all you have to do is RDP into your Windows server, SSH into your Linux server, sudo apt update, sudo apt install roll dice, run the roll dice program, and bam, game night rescued. So this remote connection is secure. The connection between this Windows server and this Linux server, it's encrypted using the secure shell. That's the secure part of it. The connection is encrypted. When I'm done doing my thing, I can just type exit and it closes that connection. So we broke that connection, that remote connection. And I'm back to my regular Windows prompt here. So now if I exit again, that'll just close that PowerShell window, and I'm done. So Secure Shell is used all the time for administering computers securely in small networks, large networks. It's a very common protocol. This is just a little bit how we establish that connection, especially using key files instead of passwords to make that secure connection.